fatal mistake most people make with avoidant partners is approaching them like desperate peasants, begging for scraps of attention from someone who holds all the power. This dynamic is not only psychologically unhealthy, it's exactly what triggers the avoidant's deepest psychological patterns of withdrawal and control. The counterintuitive truth is that avoidants only respect and pursue partners who carry themselves with royal dignity, unshakable self-worth, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you're the prize, not the pursuer. The psychology of royal treatment. Why avoidants bow to kings. Avoidants are psychologically wired to respond to power dynamics in relationships, but not in the way most people assume. They don't respect weakness, neediness, or emotional pursuit. These behaviors trigger their flight response and activate their desire to create distance. Instead, they're magnetically drawn to people who demonstrate emotional sovereignty, self-possession, and the kind of inner strength that requires no external validation to maintain its presence. The royal mindset operates on a fundamental principle that avoidants find irresistible. You don't chase, you attract. Kings don't pursue subjects. Subjects are drawn to the power, stability, and magnetic presence that authentic royalty naturally emanates. When you carry yourself with genuine royal energy, avoidants instinctively recognize that you operate from abundance rather than scarcity, confidence rather than insecurity, and choice rather than desperation. This psychological dynamic works because avoidants are essentially emotional competitors who unconsciously test every person they encounter to determine the relationship power structure. When you approach them from a position of emotional neediness or romantic desperation, you're immediately categorized as someone they can control and take for granted. However, when you demonstrate that you're emotionally self-sufficient and perfectly content with or without their presence, you trigger their competitive instincts and make them want to earn your attention and approval. The royal approach also addresses the avoidant's core attachment fears without triggering their defensive systems. When you demonstrate that you don't need them for your emotional well-being or life satisfaction, you eliminate the pressure and suffocation they typically feel in relationships. Paradoxically, this emotional freedom makes them feel safer to be vulnerable and present because they're not responsible for your happiness or emotional regulation. Avoidants are also attracted to people who mirror their own stated values of independence and self-sufficiency. When you embody these qualities authentically, rather than just accepting them theoretically, you become someone they can respect, rather than someone they need to manage or accommodate. You speak their psychological language while demonstrating that you're not willing to settle for the minimal emotional investment they typically provide. The competitive aspect is crucial. Avoidants are drawn to people who represent challenges rather than guarantees. When you carry yourself like royalty, you communicate that your attention and affection are valuable commodities that must be earned rather than entitlements that can be taken for granted. This scarcity creates desire and motivates them to invest effort in winning and maintaining your interest. Most importantly, the royal approach protects your own emotional well-being while potentially inspiring better behavior from them. Instead of diminishing yourself to accommodate their limitations, you maintain your standards and require them to rise to meet you. This dynamic either motivates them to become better partners or reveals that they're incapable of appreciating what you offer, allowing you to make informed decisions about the relationship's viability. The crown of self-worth, your most powerful weapon. Your self-worth is your crown, the most powerful tool you possess for commanding respect from avoidant partners and anyone else who enters your emotional kingdom. Unlike external accessories or performed confidence, genuine self-worth radiates from within and cannot be faked, borrowed, or temporarily adopted. It must be cultivated, earned, and worn with the natural grace that comes from knowing your own value. Royal self-worth means you never question whether you're deserving of love, respect, and consistent treatment from romantic partners. You don't wonder if your needs are too much, your expectations too high, or your standards unreasonable. You know, with unshakable certainty, that you bring tremendous value to any relationship, and that anyone who gains access to your love and attention is receiving a precious gift. This inner knowing manifests in how you carry yourself physically, how you speak about yourself and your expectations, and how you respond to treatment that doesn't align with your worth. When someone treats you with inconsistency, emotional distance, or disrespect, your self-worth allows you to respond with the calm dignity of someone who knows they deserve better, rather than the anxiety of someone who fears they deserve exactly what they're receiving. The crown of self-worth also protects you from the gaslighting and reality distortion that avoidants often employ to maintain control. When they suggest that your needs are excessive, your expectations unrealistic, or your reactions inappropriate, your self-worth serves as an internal compass that helps you distinguish between their projections and your legitimate relationship requirements. Authentic self-worth is built through consistent self-care, personal achievement, maintaining healthy boundaries, and surrounding yourself with people who appreciate and reflect your value back to you. It's reinforced through therapy, personal development work, and the daily practice of treating yourself with the same kindness and respect you would offer to someone you deeply love and admire. The royal approach to self-worth means you don't derive your value from external validation, including validation from romantic partners. Your worth is inherent and established independently of anyone else's opinion, treatment, or presence in your life. This independence from external validation is what makes you magnetic to avoidants, who are typically surrounded by people who need their approval to feel valuable. When you wear your crown of self-worth authentically, you naturally attract people who can appreciate quality and naturally repel those who are only comfortable with partners who doubt their own value. This filtering effect protects you from wasting time with people who aren't capable of recognizing and honoring what you bring to relationships. Most importantly, genuine self-worth gives you the power to walk away from anyone who doesn't treat you in accordance with your value. This willingness to leave rather than tolerate poor treatment is perhaps the most attractive quality you can possess in the eyes of an avoidant who is accustomed to partners who will accept minimal effort rather than risk losing the relationship entirely. The Royal Court, curating your inner circle. Kings surround themselves with advisors, supporters, and companions who reflect and reinforce their status and power. Your inner circle, friends, family members, mentors, and confidants, serves as your royal court, providing the emotional support, honest feedback, and social proof that maintains your regal bearing even when facing relationship challenges. A royal court consists of people who see your worth clearly, support your standards and boundaries, and refuse to enable behavior that diminishes your value or well-being. These individuals serve as reality checks when you're tempted to accept treatment that falls below your standards, reminders of your worth when you're feeling insecure, and sources of alternative, social and emotional fulfillment when romantic relationships become disappointing. The royal approach to friendship means you're selective about who gains access to your inner world and generous with those who prove themselves worthy of your trust and investment. You don't maintain friendships with people who consistently drain your energy, disrespect your boundaries, or encourage you to accept less than you deserve in romantic relationships. Your royal court should include people who embody the same standards of self-respect and healthy relationship expectations that you're cultivating. When you surround yourself with people who expect to be treated well and refuse to tolerate emotional unavailability, you reinforce these standards in your own relationship choices and receive support for maintaining your boundaries. The social proof aspect of your court is also crucial for attracting avoidant respect. When they observe that you're surrounded by high-quality people who appreciate and value you, It reinforces your desirability and makes them want to be included in your exclusive inner circle. Avoidants are more attracted to people who are clearly valued by others than to those who seem socially isolated or desperate for connection. Your cord also provides alternative sources of emotional fulfillment that reduce your dependence on romantic relationships for social connection and emotional support. This independence makes you less likely to tolerate poor treatment from romantic partners and more willing to maintain your standards, even when it means risking relationship loss. The royal approach to social relationships also means you contribute generously to your friendships while maintaining appropriate boundaries about what you will and won't accept. You're loyal to people who earn and deserve your loyalty while being willing to distance yourself from those who prove themselves unworthy of your investment. Building and maintaining a royal court requires intentional effort to cultivate relationships with people who align with your values, support your growth, and demonstrate the kind of character and integrity you want to surround yourself with. This investment in high-quality relationships creates a foundation of support that makes you less vulnerable to romantic manipulation and more attractive to partners who can appreciate quality connections. The Royal Treasury, building wealth in all forms. True royalty is built on wealth, not just financial resources, but wealth in all forms that create security, options, and the freedom to make choices based on what you want rather than what you need. Your royal treasury includes financial stability, career satisfaction, physical health, intellectual development, creative fulfillment, and emotional well-being that exists independently of romantic relationships. Financial independence is a crucial component of royal treatment because it eliminates desperation from your relationship choices. When you can support yourself comfortably and have savings that provide security, you never have to stay in relationships for practical reasons or tolerate poor treatment because you fear being unable to manage alone. This freedom translates into confidence that avoidants find magnetic. Career fulfillment contributes to your royal bearing by providing purpose, achievement, and social status that exist independently of romantic validation. When you're professionally successful and personally satisfied with your work, you bring energy and accomplishment to relationships rather than looking to partners to provide meaning and direction for your life. Physical health and fitness contribute to your royal presence by giving you energy, confidence, and the physical vitality that naturally attracts others. When you take excellent care of your body through exercise, nutrition, and wellness practices, you embody the self-respect and discipline that characterize authentic royalty. Intellectual development through reading, learning, travel, and cultural experiences makes you an interesting and complex person who has perspectives and insights to share, rather than just emotional needs to be met. Avoidants are particularly attracted to people who can engage them intellectually and who have rich inner lives that don't depend on romantic relationships for stimulation. Creative pursuits and hobbies provide outlets for self-expression and personal fulfillment that make you a more interesting and well-rounded person. When you have passions and interests that bring you joy independently of romantic relationships, you're less likely to become overly focused on romantic partners for entertainment and fulfillment. Emotional wealth includes the therapy, personal development work, and healing practices that have helped you develop emotional intelligence, healthy coping strategies, and the self-awareness that characterizes emotional maturity. This inner wealth makes you attractive to anyone capable of appreciating emotional sophistication and depth. The Royal Treasury also includes a rich social life with diverse friendships, community connections, and social activities that provide fulfillment and enjoyment. When your social calendar is full of engaging activities and meaningful connections, you're less likely to become overly dependent on romantic partners for social stimulation and companionship. Building wealth in all these areas requires time, effort, and intentional investment in your own development and well-being. However, this investment pays dividends in every area of your life, including your attractiveness to high-quality romantic partners who can appreciate and contribute to your already abundant life. The Royal Decree, setting non-negotiable standards. Kings rule through decrees, non-negotiable standards and expectations that define the boundaries of acceptable behavior within their kingdom. Your royal decrees are the relationship standards and personal boundaries that you establish and maintain, regardless of how others respond to them. These standards aren't suggestions or starting points for negotiation. They're requirements that anyone who wants access to your life must meet. Your royal decrees should cover the fundamental requirements for how you expect to be treated in romantic relationships: consistent communication, emotional availability, respect for your time and energy, honesty and transparency, reliability in commitments, and reciprocal investment in the relationship's growth and development. These aren't excessive demands. They're basic requirements for healthy adult partnerships. The royal approach to standards means you communicate them clearly, implement them consistently, and enforce them without exception. You don't make exceptions for people you really like, adjust your standards based on their limitations, or lower your requirements because you're afraid of losing specific individuals. Your standards apply universally because they reflect your understanding of what you need to thrive in relationships. Enforcing your royal decrees requires the willingness to end relationships that consistently fail to meet your standards, regardless of your feelings for the people involved. This enforcement mechanism is what gives your standards power and credibility. When people realize that failing to meet your requirements will result in losing access to you, they either step up to meet your standards or remove themselves from consideration. Your decree should also include standards for how you treat yourself and how you allow others to treat you in all relationships, not just romantic ones. This includes boundaries around your time, energy, emotional availability, and personal resources that prevent others from taking advantage of your generosity or kindness. The royal approach to boundaries means you maintain them with grace and dignity rather than anger or defensiveness. When someone violates your standards, you respond with the calm authority of someone who knows their worth, rather than the emotional reactivity of someone who feels victimized. This response reinforces your royal bearing, while making it clear that your boundaries are firm. Your royal decrees should evolve as you grow and learn more about what you need to thrive in relationships. Regular reflection on your relationship experiences helps you refine your standards and ensure they accurately reflect your current understanding of what creates healthy, satisfying partnerships. Most importantly, your royal decrees should be based on your authentic needs and values, rather than what you think others expect or what seems socially acceptable. Your standards exist to protect your well-being and ensure your relationships contribute positively to your life, not to impress others or conform to external expectations. The royal schedule, time as your most precious resource. Kings understand that time is their most valuable asset and guard their schedules with the same care they would protect their treasure. Your royal schedule reflects your understanding that your time is precious and should be invested wisely in activities and people that contribute to your growth, happiness, and overall well-being. The royal approach to time means you don't rearrange your entire schedule to accommodate new romantic interests or consistently cancel your own plans to be available for others. Your time has value, and anyone who wants access to it must demonstrate that they appreciate and deserve the gift of your presence and attention. This doesn't mean you're inflexible or unwilling to make reasonable accommodations for people you care about. It means you maintain a full, satisfying life that doesn't revolve around romantic relationships, and that you expect partners to appreciate and work around your existing commitments rather than expecting you to abandon your life for their convenience. Your royal schedule should include time for self-care, personal development, physical fitness, creative pursuits, social relationships, professional growth, and leisure activities that bring you joy and fulfillment. When your schedule is full of meaningful activities, you're less likely to become overly available for people who don't appreciate your time. The time boundaries you establish communicate your self-respect and help others understand how to treat you appropriately. When you consistently protect your time and expect others to respect your schedule, you train them to value your presence and plan appropriately if they want to spend time with you. Your royal schedule also includes time for solitude and reflection that helps you maintain your emotional center and make thoughtful decisions about your relationships. This alone time is sacred and shouldn't be sacrificed to accommodate others' demands for your attention and availability. The royal approach to scheduling also means you're punctual, reliable, and respectful of others' time, while expecting the same consideration in return. Your time management reflects your overall approach to life and relationships: organized, intentional, and focused on what truly matters. When romantic interests demonstrate that they can't or won't respect your time boundaries, this becomes valuable information about their character and their potential as long-term partners. People who consistently waste your time or expect you to be available on their terms, regardless of your schedule, are revealing their lack of respect for you as a person. The royal response: how kings handle disrespect. When faced with disrespectful treatment, kings don't respond with emotional outbursts, desperate explanations, or attempts to convince others to treat them better. Instead, they respond with the calm dignity and measured authority that communicates their worth without having to argue for it. Your royal response to poor treatment should be equally composed and powerful. The first principle of royal responses is that you don't engage in emotional arguments or try to convince people of your worth through explanation or persuasion. Your value is self-evident, and anyone who can't see it isn't worthy of your energy or attention. When someone treats you poorly, you respond with actions that demonstrate your standards, rather than words that plead for better treatment. Your royal response might involve calmly withdrawing your presence and attention from people who demonstrate that they can't appreciate what you offer. This withdrawal isn't punishment, it's natural consequence. When someone shows you that they don't value your presence, you honor their message by making your presence less available. The royal approach to conflict involves addressing issues directly, but without emotional desperation or attempts to control others' responses. You state your position clearly, express your expectations calmly, and allow others to respond however they choose, while maintaining your own boundaries and standards, regardless of their reaction. When people attempt to gaslight you or convince you that your standards are unreasonable, your royal response involves trusting your own perceptions and maintaining your requirements without justification or defense. You don't need others' approval of your boundaries to maintain them, and you don't need their understanding of your worth to know your value. Your royal response to manipulation attempts involves recognizing them for what they are and refusing to participate in games designed to make you doubt your own reality or compromise your standards. You respond to manipulation with the same calm authority you would use to dismiss any other attempt to undermine your sovereignty. The most powerful royal response to consistently poor treatment is often complete disengagement. When someone proves, through repeated actions, that they can't or won't treat you according to your standards, you remove yourself from their presence entirely, rather than continuing to expose yourself to disrespectful treatment. Your royal responses should always preserve your dignity while clearly communicating your boundaries and expectations. You never lower yourself to others' level of behavior, but you also never accept treatment that falls below your standards out of fear of conflict or loss. The Royal Attraction. Why this approach works. The Royal approach to relationships works with avoidance because it addresses their psychology while protecting your own emotional well-being. Instead of triggering their fears and defensive responses, it appeals to their attraction to strength, independence, and emotional challenge while maintaining your own standards and self-respect. Avoidants are drawn to people who don't seem to need them desperately because this lack of neediness feels safe and non-threatening. When you carry yourself with royal bearing, you communicate that you're choosing to share your life with others rather than needing them to complete you. This choice-based approach feels much safer to avoidant psychology than need-based pursuit. The royal approach also triggers avoidance' competitive instincts and desire to earn what isn't freely given. When you demonstrate that your attention and affection are valuable commodities that must be earned through consistent good treatment, you motivate them to invest more effort in the relationship than they typically would. Your royal bearing also serves as a mirror that reflects their own behavior back to them. When they're inconsistent with someone who expects consistency, their inconsistency becomes more obvious. When they're emotionally unavailable with someone who expects emotional presence, their unavailability feels more problematic. This reflection often motivates better behavior. The royal approach protects you from the psychological damage that typically occurs in relationships with avoidant partners. Instead of diminishing your self-worth to accommodate their limitations, you maintain your standards and require them to rise to meet you. This protection preserves your emotional health regardless of the relationship's outcome. Most importantly, the royal approach attracts people who can appreciate and reciprocate quality treatment while naturally repelling those who are only comfortable with partners who doubt their own worth. Whether this improves your relationship with an avoidant partner or helps you recognize that they're not capable of appreciating what you offer, the royal approach ensures you maintain your dignity and self-respect. The royal legacy, living as the sovereign of your own life. Ultimately, the royal approach to relationships isn't about manipulating others or guaranteeing specific outcomes. It's about living as the sovereign of your own life and refusing to settle for treatment that doesn't honor your worth. When you embody authentic royalty, you create a life so fulfilling and abundant that others naturally want to be part of your kingdom. Your royal legacy includes the example you set for others about what self-respect looks like in action, the standards you maintain that inspire others to raise their own expectations, and the dignity with which you handle both triumph and disappointment in your relationships. The royal approach requires ongoing commitment to your own growth, development, and well-being. It's not a temporary strategy or manipulation tactic. It's a way of living that reflects your deep understanding of your own worth and your commitment to creating relationships that honor and celebrate that worth. Whether your avoidant partner rises to meet your royal standards or reveals themselves to be incapable of appreciating true quality, your commitment to carrying yourself with dignity and maintaining your worth ensures that you'll continue to attract people and opportunities that align with your value. The ultimate goal isn't to control others' behavior or guarantee specific relationship outcomes. It's to live with such authentic self-respect and genuine abundance that you naturally attract the kind of treatment and relationships you deserve, while maintaining the strength to walk away from anything that falls short of your standards. When you truly embody royal energy, you discover that you don't need to chase anyone's attention or convince anyone of your worth. Your presence becomes magnetic, your standards become attractive, and your life becomes so fulfilling that others naturally want to earn their place in your kingdom. This is the true power of royal treatment. It transforms not just how others see you, but how you see yourself and what you're willing to accept in all areas of your life.